And let me return this to the top. So, all right, let's do this. So a little bit more with our team principles and just sort of who we are, what we stand for, what we will eventually stand for. So it's going to let you peruse this. This should look. We've talked about these in the past here recently. Safe, respectful, so responsible. So we are going to be an outfit that is very responsible for what we do, how we act, on and off, the field. But our level of responsibility is going to be high, and it's going to be demanded. And so we will work towards that. The next two are, something I've been encouraging pretty much since I was hired, but in terms of improving, competing against yourself, um, holding yourself to an accountability when nobody's looking, and that we're going to support each other quite a bit. So, I don't, as I've talked with people, the message of supportive, or this it's going to be reinstalled as to how it was or what, doesn't really matter. But moving forward, we're going to be highly supportive of each other and people who are willing to show up and improve daily. Um, so this is going to be an operation based on daily improvement, not on who the good players are or something like that. So I don't really understand what that means. So I know that people who improve daily and commit to that are what I support, and that's what we'll support as a group. And at the end of this year, I would say that we've spent, and we will continue to. That's why we started it, not just so that we can be done with it, but what we stand for, what our principles are. But we're getting ready to play football. So make no mistake about the way I see the game, or how it'll play itself out here. This is a game of emotion and explosiveness and aggression. And so just to make sure everybody's thinking in the same direction here. That's a strong piece of what we're doing. We're doing all the other things so that we can do that last thing. Um, and we can make some people remember who we are. So I'm gonna just leave this here for a quick second. I'm gonna go a little fast through this, so you can go back and watch the video and kind of pause this. Eventually you will get here. We're getting there, like a an athlete handbook that will have all this in it. So we're trying to paint the picture in the right direction here. So we're going to deal with some defensive stuff, and um, from a gap point of view. So A gaps are between the guards and the tackle, guards in the center, B gaps, C gaps, and if there's a tight end, then there's a D gap outside. From an alignment point of view, this is more for the front five guys, but general knowledge is just in terms of how we align on offensive people. And so when there's, the tight end gives us a little bit of gives us a unique issue up there. And we'll deal with that. But from a huddle point of view, the way that we align on defense, so it adheres to the three levels. And so we've got the front five, the quick, the bandit, the nose, the whip, in the end. Those the front five. The second level, the Sam, the Mike, and the Rover, those are the adjusters. And really it's the Sam and the Rover who are heavy adjusters in terms of getting us lined up correctly. Mike as well, but he's the last one to leave the box, as we said. And then the boundary corner, the field corner. So in this picture, the field would be to the left. So the field corner would never go to the other side of the field. Free safety was going to be over the football. So here, we showed this last time, just who those people are and their groups. So from a formation identification, the big picture items is, when they break the huddle, I mean, they can have a tight end. They could have multiple tight ends. How many running backs are in the backfield? That is a huge issue in terms of how we line up, and then with how many linebackers we have in the box. And is there a wing? Because a wing presents an offensive player who can move, who can motion across the formation and change their numbers very quickly. A receiver could do that, but it would take him a lot longer to go do that. So if there's a wing, like that's a huge, like an alert to us, because a wing can move sides very quickly and we have to be aware of that. And so we have thoughts on how we do that. So here would just be a 2-back set and a 3 receivers. So we've got a slot on the defensive right. So a 2-back set leaves the Mike and the Rover, the M and the R in the box. Right. The Sam is the one who displaces with who we would call number 2 receiver. Now this ball is in the middle of the field. Generally, when the ball is in the middle of the field, and we will know that. I mean, they know that at the end of the play, it gets set there, so we can call field and boundary. So when that's the case, we will call the field to the right. So it doesn't surprise us, or we didn't know where the ball was. Like they put it there at the end of the play, so we can deal with that. If we're not sure, we just call field to the right. So let's take a look at what happens here. I'm just going to highlight one of the players here. I'm going to highlight this guy. So this would be the quick. Actually, sorry, into the boundary. This would be the end. Sorry, this would be the end. So these 5 guys up here, we've got 2. This guy's moving around a little bit. So those are the flex. Those are the flex guys, the stand-up 3 techniques. We've got an air 7 who stood up out here to the fields. That would be the quick. I want to highlight the end here. So those front 5 guys, if you remember what I said in the past, so this defense is founded upon the front 5 plug the 6 gaps. And those 6 gaps go from tackle to tackle. So A gap, B gap, C gap. So when he sees that, and I know you're probably not going to be a defensive end, but when he sees a down block, right? Notice he doesn't go and try and tackle the ball carrier. He's a spill player. So by then engaging the wing, right, the Rover now becomes what we know as the force player. And so see how that force player comes up and he forces the running back inside. Of course, he'd love to make the tackle, but his job is to make sure that ball goes back inside. So we've got people forcing it outside. We've got people forcing it inside. And then who's left would be a mix of here the Mike actually gets overtaken by we've got a bonus player because we've got a pulling guard. So that's why the flex is occurring, so that we can bonus over the top. And so we end up then with, from a scheme point of view, that guy does a great job spilling, right? He then forces back inside to players who are on the inside. It's pretty much a pretty solid example of how that defense is played here. So here would be just a double slot. And so we've got the Sam extended to the field. The Rover extends to the boundary over number 2. The Mike is right in the middle of the field. He's shaded a little bit to the field. And the free safety is also shaded to the field. It looks like he's in the B gap. So let's take a look at how this unfolds here. Just going to watch a couple more here. And so take a look here. You might wonder what coverage we're in. We got a certain call here. If number 2 becomes a crosser, right? We've got a defender in the middle of the field who can pick him up, the Mike. Right? The Mike is not blitzing. He's playing in coverage. So we get a crosser. And that ball gets thrown to the crosser. and we end up with a incomplete pass. So just one other highlight here, if you look up front, this is with 5 guys up there, we get a chance to run some games. So we get a twist up top. See another one down below. So I'm going to give you one more. We got a tight end, a 2-back. Now this guy would actually, the wing, this is not a 2-back. We've got a wing on the defensive right. And so he's actually going to go motion here. Let's take a look. And this is kind of how we'll stop it as he goes in motion, right? That's how we need to rotate now. The mic becomes the rover, and the rover becomes the mic. So that's what a wing does to us from a rotation on the second level point of view. After all that, they just throw a fade. So then last one here. So we've got a 21 personnel, so 2 running backs, 1 tight end. Tight end is down on the defensive left, so that's where the Sam is. Okay, he's in a what's called a vice position. Right, it's 2 backs, so the mic and the rover are in the box, and then we've got our 2 flex defenders. So field corner up top, boundary corner to the bottom, free safety then right in the middle of the field. And so what I want to show you here is that I had said this defense is designed such that there will not be runs between the tackles. The C gaps, the 6 gaps, the 2A gaps, the 2B gaps, the 2C gaps are taken care of by those 5 defenders, and that's taken care of by a squeeze. So they're going to squeeze those down at the snap of the ball. And then the second level defenders, right, the mic and the rover, right, are able to then fill based on what they see the running backs do. So let's take a look at what happens. So although it looks like just a big mosh pit in there, you see how this thing is designed. You notice where the ball, that's a true mosh pit right there. So if you notice, they're trying to run the ball between the tackles, and it's not going down the field. So that's what, from a defensive install point of view, we need to make sure that we get that sewn up. So that's a run fit issue. And from there, then that makes them decide that they have to do something different. Because if they're going to do that every play, this is what's going to happen. So that's why they're then not going to do that. And so that's what we want to make sure that we have taken care of. So then to kind of wrap this thing up here, the effort, all of that stuff on defense involves huge amounts of effort, being able to run to the ball. But the thing that we're going to inject in that is not only a good scheme, a sound scheme, and one that we can execute. So we're going to end up then with smart effort. So that's the thing that we're going to kind of keep to ourselves. Every football team would talk about effort, but few would be able to actually implement smart effort. So that's what we're going to be able to